At 7:10 a.m., the entire street was screaming because someone thought they could legally steal my road, and I was about to prove how wrong they were. When the HOA president started yelling, "This is illegal!" in her pajamas, I knew something very bad had just happened. And it was only the beginning. By 7:10 a.m., my quiet cul-de-sac looked like the opening scene of a crime documentary. Dozens of homeowners stood outside in pajamas and slippers while one voice screamed, louder than all the rest, Pamela Wright. "President of the Willow Ridge HOA, this is illegal!" she shouted, clutching her clipboard like a courtroom exhibit. From my front porch, I stirred cream into my coffee and looked toward the newly installed metal sign near the street entrance. Private road, property of N. Hawkins, no unauthorized. Parking, Tao enforced. Pamela finally noticed it. Her yelling stopped mid-word. The problem was simple. My house didn't belong to the normal neighborhood layout. Years earlier, before Willow Ridge was built, the land included a narrow farm service, path that ran between what later became 2 rows of houses and connected directly to the main road. When the lots were divided, the developers accidentally excluded that lane from HOA ownership, so instead of being shared community property, it was deeded directly to me, legally recorded, county verified, completely mine. Pamela hated it immediately. She hated that I didn't attend social events, ignored HOA Facebook drama, and parked my work truck wherever I wanted, on a road she couldn't control. Her first move came, wrapped in politeness. A letter appeared on my door claiming the HOA board had voted to classify my road as community property under neighborhood rules. I replied by mailing her a copy of my deed. That should have ended the story. Instead, the harassment began. Bright orange parking tickets appeared on my truck for blocking shared access. HOA emails vaguely accused a certain resident of misusing community streets. Pamela was even caught taking close-up photos of my license plate for their violation files. One afternoon, she confronted me directly. "Our board voted," she said sharply. "You don't get a choice." Calmly pulled up the county parcel map on my phone and showed her the boundary line, clearly cutting around the lane. "You can't vote yourself into owning land that isn't yours." Her jaw tightened. She walked away without another word. 3 days later, certified mail arrived. Inside was a letter stating that the HOA now controlled my road based on a quitclaim deed, bearing my signature. Except I hadn't signed anything. The signature looked rushed, like someone guessing how my name should look. Felt anger for one heartbeat. Then focus. Because the HOA hadn't just overstepped, they'd crossed into felony territory. That same night, I installed security cameras, saved every HOA email, and called a real estate attorney. After reviewing the documents, she looked up at me and said, "This isn't a dispute. This is forgery." And right then, I realized Pamela had unknowingly started a game she had no chance of winning. What Pamela did next, in her attempt to prove ownership, handed me the perfect setup for payback. Pamela set the next move in motion without realizing she was building the case against herself. Less than a week after investigators contacted her about the forged paperwork, she sent a mass HOA email to the entire neighborhood. Subject line, "Temporary parking adjustment effective." Immediately, the message announced the new overflow. Parking solution, a thin service lane running behind several homes during evening and overnight hours. That service lane was my road. For 2 full weeks, I quietly watched the setup unfold. Every night around dusk, vehicles appeared one by one. Minivans, pickup trucks, dusty sedans, even weekend restoration projects that rarely moved. Pamela's spotless white luxury SUV became a regular, parking just a few feet from the camera. I had already installed. I didn't say a word. Instead, I printed her HOA email and added it to my growing evidence folder. Then, I made moves of my own. During work hours, while the street sat empty, I mounted 4 large metal signs along the road. Private property, no parking, anytime violators will be towed. City permitted. My attorney had triple-checked the wording. The county had reconfirmed my ownership status. The tow company reviewed the deed, recorded the parcel map, and signed an enforcement contract giving them full authority to remove unauthorized vehicles. Everything was airtight. 11:52 p.m., with both sides of the asphalt packed bumper to bumper, I made the call. 3 tow trucks rolled into Willow Ridge quietly. Headlights low, engines idling. Each vehicle was documented and photographed beneath the posted signs before being removed. Plates were logged, chains attached, and cars lifted away one by one. HOA parking permits stuck to windshields held zero authority. Here, only property rights mattered. By 3 a.m., the road was cleared edge to edge. Before sunrise, the neighborhood exploded into chaos. Homeowners rushed outside in sleep clothes, staring at empty pavement as if their cars had vaporized. Pamela stood in her driveway screaming. "Into the tow yard dispatcher on speakerphone, we have parking policies," she yelled. "Yes, ma'am," the dispatcher calmly replied. "But the property owner outranks. HOA policies on private land," someone nearby shouted. "How much to get them back?" The answer echoed across the street. $350 per vehicle, plus holding fees. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Pamela turned red and charged toward my porch, accusing me of illegal towing and harassment. I met her with a neatly clipped folder. My original deed, the county fraud affidavit voiding the forged quitclaim, the tow authorization contract, and a letter confirming an active district attorney investigation. You issued the parking directive yourself, I reminded her. Tapping the email printout, her confidence collapsed instantly, and that's when silence hit the street. Because the neighborhood suddenly realized what was really happening, but the next move wasn't mine. It came from the courtroom, and it ended Pamela's reign for good. The HOA emergency meeting felt more like a funeral than a neighborhood gathering. Foldable chairs filled the echoing community clubhouse. Neighbors whispered nervously, clutching copies of legal invoices as the reality set in. Insurance had dropped coverage. Attorney fees were stacking up, and the board members were panicking. I walked in with my attorney and waited for the noise to settle. Then I spoke calmly. "I'm willing to settle." Everyone went silent. My terms were clear and direct. Signed written apology from the HOA, permanent removal of any shared road, references from community bylaws, a formal, recorded acknowledgement that the HOA held zero authority over my road, a lifetime ban preventing Pamela from serving on any HOA board. Within the community, a binding easement ensuring my road could never be used for overflow parking. Again, in exchange, I would drop all personal lawsuits against individual board members. The homeowners looked at the towering legal costs. Then the silent vote began. Nearly unanimously, they accepted. Pamela sat alone in the back row, arms crossed, seething, casting the only no vote. 6 months later, we met again, but this time in a courtroom. The judge read the verdict slowly. Guilty on 2 counts of forgery. Guilty on 1 count of filing fraudulent property records. He fixed his eyes on Pamela. You abused a position of authority to commit calculated fraud against a neighbor. That behavior will not be tolerated. Then came the sentence: 18 months in jail, suspended. 200 hours of community service, 5 years. Probation, $15,000 fine, and $42,300. Restitution to Mr. Hawkins. Pamela's face went pale as tears welled. Her knees trembled as her attorney steadied her. The gavel struck court. Adjourned outside. Old critics became uncomfortable allies. Several neighbors apologized quietly for believing HOA rumors. I shook hands and returned home, back to the same quiet porch, the same untouched road that never once belonged to anyone else. These days, the street stays silent. No overnight parking, no HOA clipboard patrols, no false threats, just ownership, finally, respected. Because at the end of the day, the lesson is simple. Paper beats power. No vote, no intimidation. No fake document can steal what's legally yours. And if you enjoyed this wild HOA revenge story hit like so, more people can hear it. Share it with anyone who's dealt with HOA drama, and subscribe for more unbelievable true style. Stories every week, trust me. The next one is even crazier.